Hey everybody, before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you enjoy our content and want to stay up to date with our videos, hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Thanks. So, on to the video.
Ah, he lives. Finally awake, are we?
You're...
Cloud awakens to the voice of a young woman. Her name is Aerith, the young flower girl from the start of the game. She explains that the church's roof and the flower bed broke his fall. She then hands him a materia he had dropped, and says she has one too, that it was a gift from her mother, claiming it's special, as it doesn't do anything. Cloud again has vague visions of a materia falling in a pool of water. The two are interrupted by a young man with red hair, wearing a black suit, followed by some Shinra goons. This man is named Reno, and he is part of the Turks, Shinra's lapdogs and special agents. From the sound of it, they are here to take Aerith away. Aerith hires Cloud as her bodyguard on the spot and promises to take him on a date as payment. Cloud, being who he is, protects the girl who's in danger. He successfully defeats Reno and his henchmen, but is interrupted by the Black Phantoms again as he was about to strike the killing blow. The Phantoms pick up Aerith and Cloud and carry them into the next room. The church is now swarming with the Phantoms, but it seems only the two of them can see them. After giving Reno the runaround, they successfully escape him. Aerith points out that there's a nearby station and leads Cloud in that direction. The two bond as they travel through the abandoned wreckage near the church. When they arrive, a Shinra helicopter lands nearby, dropping off another Turk member, Rude. Aerith and Cloud, not knowing if he's looking for either of them, decide to go into a monster-infested route instead to avoid him. Eventually, the two make it to Aerith's home in one piece, where we are introduced to Aerith's mother, Elmira. Cloud successfully completed his bodyguard duties and plans to go to Sector 7. Aerith offers to take him herself as she gets the feeling he would get lost. Cloud tries to deny her help, but is completely unsuccessful. Elmira asks them to go in the morning, and in the meantime, she would get dinner ready. During this time, Aerith and Cloud do odd jobs for the local residents. Aerith is clearly loved and known by the community around her. After finishing up, the two head back home when they are intercepted by Rude. A brawl breaks out, but it is interrupted by a call from Reno, telling his partner that they need to be on standby for a new job. Rude leaves, telling Aerith to stay home, and she of course denies him. The two arrive home and prepare for dinner. While Aerith is preparing the guest room, Elmira begs Cloud to leave tonight without Aerith, saying that soldiers gave up their chance at a normal life in exchange for power. They cannot have it both ways. Aerith comes back into the room to an awkward silence. Cloud wakes up in the middle of the night and sneaks out, Elmira waiting for him down below. She gives him directions on how to get to Sector 7 and asks him to promise that he will never talk to Aerith again. He agrees and heads off towards Sector 6. But his promise is short-lived, as Aerith is waiting for Cloud at Sector 6's entrance, claiming she is not sick of Cloud just yet. Cloud, knowing it's a losing battle, agrees to have Aerith guide him to Sector 7. As she begins to walk away, Cloud's vision gets hazy and his head starts to ring. Then a single tear falls from his eye. Aerith asks if Cloud is okay. He hides his face, says he's fine, and moves down the path. After passing through packs of monsters and thugs, they eventually arrive at the border of Sector 6 and 7, located in front of a children's park. Sector 7 is sealed off by a large metallic wall. Cloud asks how he can get past the wall, but Aerith ignores his question and tells him the two should take a break. He tries to let on that he doesn't have time, but stays a bit longer at her request. The two sit on top of a children's slide looking at the surrounding area. Aerith gets in close and asks Cloud if he truly was in Soldier First Class. He confirms her answer, and she says that it's weird because the first man she ever fell in love with was in Soldier First Class as well. Cloud can see how sad the topic is making her and asks what his name was. Maybe the two have bumped into each other at some point. As Aerith says a name, Cloud's head begins to ring, and again his vision blurs. She notices Cloud is in pain and gets in close to see if he's okay. She then comments on his eyes. He mentions it's from the Mako and that all members of Soldier have them. She says she knows, again clearly thinking of the past. Aerith thinks she's being a bit of a bummer and decides to move on, and get Cloud on his way. She shows him an underground passage he can take nearby. Just before he's about to head out, the large gates open and a chocobo with a carriage passes through. Cloud then notices the passenger is Tifa and immediately chases after her. Tifa is relieved that Cloud is alive and lets him know that she's going in to investigate the local crime lord, Don Corneo, as he's been asking questions about Bear and Avalanche. She is going in on her own and is currently en route to his mansion. Cloud offers to help, but she tells him to head back to Sector 7, that everyone will be relieved to see him, and that she can take care of herself. Cloud listens and lets his friend go on ahead. As he's about to turn back, Aerith jumps in the way and tells him he's going in after her. He argues that she's really strong and she'll be fine on her own. Aerith disagrees, as they don't know Corneo, and you think you're strong, but he will find a way to hurt you or someone you love. She's headed into a mansion filled with his goons, and asks Cloud if he's not worried. He agrees that he is and turns around chasing after the carriage. They arrive at a stable and speak to the owner, Chocobo Sam. He lets the two know that Tifa was chosen as a candidate for the new Mrs. Corneo, and she won't be seeing anyone for quite some time. The two, having no other leads, head into the town directly. The town is known as Wall Market, the slums red light district. This bed of lawlessness was literally walled off by Shinra, as crime was so bad in the area, rather than deal with it, they enclosed it, and currently, Don Corneo rules over the area as a head kingpin. They head directly to the Don's mansion, where they are stopped by one of the Don's henchmen, Leslie. He informs them that no men are allowed in the premises. Aerith asks if she can enter, but Leslie warns her against it. His goons eye up Aerith and agree that she may be a good choice for Don Corneo. Leslie again tries to change Aerith's mind, but eventually gives up to her persistence. He informs her that if she wants an audition, she needs an official approval from one of the other three rulers in Wall Market, the trio. So after getting an expensive hand massage, winning a tournament, and a little bit of cross-dressing, the two go back to the mansion and show Leslie the letters. Once inside, they're escorted to the back room, where it's immediately filled with knockout gas. Cloud wakes up to the sight of a concerned Tifa and asks if she's okay. She nods, then a few moments later she realizes who she's speaking to.
Good.
Wait a minute. Cloud? Is that you? Oh my god, that makeup! And that dress!
Nailed it, I know, thank you. Moving on.
Aerith wakes up next and introduces herself to Tifa. Cloud wants to leave immediately, but Tifa refuses to leave before she gets any more info from Corneo. After some time, the Don's henchmen take them upstairs where they will have their audition. The Don finally shows himself and creepily eyes the three candidates. Cloud singles himself out by not taking any of his crap and being rude, and is then chosen. The Don sends the other two as scraps for his men in the other room. As the goons are about to get started, Aerith and Tifa quickly dispatch them.
4 guys between us. Okay, let's not keep Cloud waiting.
Right.
Wait. I know you. The Colosseum. What the hell?
Get down!
Oh, you stupid! Wait!
Leslie then walks into the room with her combat ear, saying it was a request from one of the trio, Andrea. Tifa and Aerith head to Corneo's room, where he is still being a creepy gremlin. So far, Cloud has swatted all of his advances, until the girls have finally come in to back him up. He changes back into his regular clothes, and they begin to interrogate the Don, threatening to cut, smash, and rip off his genitals. He reveals that Shinra has a plan to destroy Avalanche completely, by taking out the support pillar, and have the plate come crashing down on their heads. Tifa is shocked that Shinra would even think of this idea, and they quickly turn around to go to Sector 7. But before they can leave, Corneo distracts the group so he can set off a trap and drop the party into the below sewers. Down in the sewers, the party is attacked by Corneo's pet. They handle the monster and make their way to Sector 7, having to escape the sewer and then go through a haunted train station. When they arrive, a battle can be seen in the distance on the pillar. Barrett and the rest of Avalanche are fighting to protect it. Tifa rushes on ahead, but she is stopped by a wave of black phantoms. Aerith begs for them to let them through, but there is no response. After much fighting, the phantoms eventually disperse, some even heading to the top of the pillar. As they arrive closer to the pillar, the battle ensues, and they watch as Wedge falls multiple stories down. He's still alive, but he's out of the fight. Cloud heads up on his own as they patch up Wedge. After fighting waves and waves of Shinra troops, he catches up with Biggs. He is severely wounded. Biggs asks if Wedge is okay, and asks Cloud to promise him that it wasn't all for nothing. He gives Cloud a goodbye and good luck, and closes his eyes. Cloud heads higher up, but is harassed by Reno and Rude in their helicopter, slowing him down. We cut down to Aerith and Tifa at the bottom. Tifa feels that she just can't sit here and watch everything happen, and heads towards the top of the pillar. Before she leaves, she tells Aerith about Marlene, and asks her to get her to safety. Aerith promises, and Wedge agrees to lead her. Before they get to the bar, they arrive to see a group of people trying to get past some Shinra guards to take the path to Sector 6. Wedge begs them to open the gate, but gets pushed aside. He is saddened and feels like he's no help at all. There is this itching feeling that everyone is due for a reckoning, and the situation that they're currently in is really bad. Aerith tells him she feels the same way, and gives Wedge the courage he needs to get back up to try to convince the guards again. He gives a persuasive speech to the guards, and one of them opens the gate, refusing his superior officer's orders. The people then begin to evacuate. Aerith heads to 7th Heaven on her own, while Wedge helps with the evacuation. Chaos ensues as civilians try to take the underground passage to Wall Market. Debris from the current battle begin to fall and crash into the town itself. Fires spread. Eventually, Aerith is able to make it to the 7th Heaven and find Marlene. She's hiding behind the bar crying. She lets her know that she's a friend of Tifa's. The young girl is terrified and hesitant as the world around her is crumbling. Aerith comforts her and lets her know that things are going to be okay. They embrace, and a familiar ringing and loss of vision come across the screen. Marlene lets go of her completely calm, and Aerith simply holds her finger to her lips, signifying a secret between the two. As they're about to leave, they are intercepted by Sang, one of the other Turks. Sang lets her know that her options are limited. She agrees and offers Sang a deal. Knowing what she means, he escorts the two to the nearby chopper. We cut back to Cloud being shot at by the other Turks. Tifa arrives to help, but before she can be shot at, Rude's hand slips, throwing off Reno's aim. Reno is surprised at what just happened, but Rude just plays it off as an accident. Cloud and Tifa make it to near the top where they find Jessie, wounded from a blast and covered in debris. She confides in Cloud that the bombs were her doing, and that she deserved what was coming to her. Only known to the player, it was clear that Jessie's bombs never caused the destruction of the first reactor. It was in fact Shinra, who destroyed the reactor themselves after seeing the bomb only disable a pump. It was all in order to plant further seeds of chaos and stoke the fires of war against Wutai. Jessie passes away. Tifa and Cloud mourn the loss of their friend, but have to quickly move on, as Barrett is fighting off Reno and Rude alone at the top of the pillar. A brawl breaks out.
It's nothing personal, bitch!
Reno successfully types in the plate separation codes, but is unable to finalize, as he's interrupted by Cloud. Our heroes win the fight, but Rude makes a last-ditch effort for the switch. Before he can be stopped, he's protected by black phantoms. Rude hits the switch, then grabs Reno and escapes. While trying to stop the command, the terminal switches to a live feed of Sang, who informs them that their efforts are in vain. In the video, Aerith is with them. She quickly blurts out that she found Marlene and that she's safe. Sang thanks the party for bringing the Ancient to him, and announces that their sector is now condemned. The plates begin to separate, and the party looks for a safe way out. Tifa is in shock, looking over the landscape. Cloud grabs her and leads her to safety. Barrett finds a zip line that should take them out of the sector. The party grabs on and narrowly escapes the destruction. Tifa awakens next to Cloud, surrounded by rubble. They then find Barrett in front of what used to be the Sector 7 gate.
Marlene! 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 Biggs! Wedge! Jessie! God damn it! God damn you! God damn you all! Marlene! Marlene!
It was us. We did this.
No. You can't think like that. Whatever came before it was Shinra that pulled the trigger today. Am I right? hold on to this anger, okay?
Cloud gives Tifa and Barrett a moment together before he informs them that Marlene should be safe. From the sounds of it, Aerith was able to reach her in time. Barrett confirms if that was the girl they took and asks what the heck is going on. Tifa updates him that she was the one who asked Aerith to get Marlene. Barrett turns to Cloud and asks if he's absolutely sure, but he doesn't give him an answer. Cloud's logic is that Aerith would most likely take Marlene to her home and hopes that she's there. On the way, Cloud asks Tifa about ancients, and then he has another vision.
Hey, Tifa, know anything about ancients?
I know I've heard of them at least.
They come up in planetology books. Meant to be the original stewards of the planet. Could even commune with it, talk to it and stuff.
That must be why the Turks wanted her so badly.
Within my veins flows the blood of ancients. This planet is my birthright. You have failed again, I see. But through suffering, you will grow strong. Isn't that what you want?
Cloud?
Tifa can clearly see Cloud is in fear of someone who is not there. Tifa walks up to Cloud, but he claims it's nothing and moves on. On the way, Barrett asks if they had seen the others. Tifa informs him of their condition and that they were in really bad shape. Wedge was not in the tower and most likely made it out. Barrett expresses that he would very much like to look for the others once they confirm Marlene is okay. Tifa is surprised by this request, but agrees to help anyways, alongside Cloud. They arrive at Aerith's home. Barrett bursts in yelling, "Where's Marlene?" Elmira, clearly confused and afraid. Cloud turns to calm Barrett down. Barrett then slowly explains who he is and gives a description of his daughter. Elmira confirms that Marlene is here and that she's asleep upstairs. The party goes upstairs and makes sure she's okay. Sometime later, they head downstairs while Elmira explains Shinra has Aerith now. Tifa blames herself as she feels like she took advantage of Aerith's kindness. Even though they just met, Elmira tells her not to blame herself, as it was only a matter of time before Aerith ended up back in Shinra's clutches. She confirms to the party that Aerith is indeed an ancient, and most likely the last living one, and explains how they met. While waiting at the train station for her husband to come back from the war, she bumped into a dying mother and her daughter. At the time, she thought they were a family who had fallen on some hard times. Aerith's mother grabs Elmira's hand and begs her to take Aerith somewhere safe, and then passes away. Elmira keeps the girl with her and raises her as her own. Aerith was an odd girl growing up. One day, she approached Elmira and asked her not to be sad, as someone she loved passed away very far away, and their soul came by to say goodbye before they returned to the planet. She didn't believe her initially, but a few days later, she received a letter that her husband had been killed in action. The two lived happily together until eventually Aerith was tracked down by Shinra. Shinra believes that Aerith has the ability to lead them to the promised land from the scriptures. In order for this to work, they believe Aerith must do so willingly. That is the reason she has not been taken for so many years, until now. They informed Elmira that once they got what they needed, they would bring Aerith back. Cloud doubts it and begins to head out to save her. Elmira begs Cloud to stop, as to not escalate the issue further. Tifa agrees that maybe they should wait a little bit before heading off, as it's possible they may honor their word. Meanwhile, Barrett suggests they should go back to Sector 7 and take care of business there. The party takes the secret underground passage from Sector 6 to Sector 7. When they arrive, they can see people scavenging through the debris, trying to help anyone who's still out there. Barrett and Tifa find the 7th Heaven sign, but the rest of the bar is flattened. They do hear a meowing cat, and decide to follow it. It leads them to a hole in the ground near where Wedge used to live. This was one of Wedge's cats. The party go down the hole to find a secret Shinra lab. Wedge can be seen on the other side of some glass, but the party gets separated as the floor beneath them gives away. Barrett is eventually able to find Tifa after exploring the underground lab. Wedge is then found and confirmed alive, and put in a safe place, as humanoid monsters swarm the two. The duo fight off the wave of monsters, eventually defeating their leader. Cloud arrives to get the final blow and finish the fight. The team finds a hidden room filled with rows of human experiments. It's presumed that these monsters were failed experiments as well. Cloud looks in on the experiments and has a vision.
Yeah. That's the Shinra I know.
Cloud?
Before he can make sense of it, the Black Phantoms again appear and push the party out of the lab. They wake up all outside the lab with Wedge beside them. They gather up and start heading out of Sector 7. Barrett stops midway through and asks Cloud to take Wedge, as he's going to go back and look for Biggs and Jesse. Cloud lets him know the truth. They were in critical condition before the plate fell, and most likely dead.
I'm sorry, but...
Don't.
They've returned to the planet.
They were supposed to return to us.
Barrett takes a moment to go over in his head what this all means. He wishes his friends had come back to him, but he has to keep on moving forward, or else he would never hear the end of it from them. They take Wedge back to Aerith's home. Cloud reopens his case with Elmira. Shinra is never going to let her go. They would go as far as doing human experiments on her if they have to, just like they saw a little while ago, especially with their current head scientist, Hojo. Elmira cuts Cloud off and tells them she needs some time to think. They must be tired and should get some rest. The next morning, Barrett thanks Elmira for everything she's done for them, and the party asks her again. They want to help their friend. She gives the team her blessing, and the party heads out to save Aerith. Since Don Corneo had close ties to Shinra, they believe he's most likely to know how to get to the upper plate undetected. Once they arrive at his mansion, they find Leslie in Corneo's room. He says he believes he knows the way. He shows them the entrance to the sewer, stating he has unfinished business with Corneo, and if the team helps him, he would help them. Down in the sewers, eventually it's revealed that he has a grudge with Corneo, as Corneo chose a girl Leslie once loved as his wife. Knowing her fate, the woman broke things off with Leslie, and she went missing a day later. Once the team reached Corneo's hideout, they entrapped him by using Leslie's betrayal as bait, but Corneo slips away again, using his pet monster to distract the party. Once the monster was dealt with, they chased after Corneo, who is long gone. Leslie says it's fine, as he'll never stop hunting him down. Tifa instead urges Leslie to search for the woman, as she could still be out there somewhere. Leslie thinks about it and agrees to set his grudge aside for now, and look for her. He then shows the party outside to a nearby wall. He hands them some supercharged grappling hooks. Using them, they will be able to climb the Sector 7 wreckage, but it's a one-way trip. Leslie wishes them good luck, and they part ways. And before the team set out, they have one last conversation.
So, when this is over, you gonna go on being a merc?
That's the plan.
Reckon it suits you.
Yeah, it does.
Used to think you were a little shit with a big attitude and a bigger inferiority complex. Quite possibly the worst person I have ever met. But that was before I figured you out. All this, it ain't you.
Deep down, you're a pretty nice guy. Didn't see it when we were kids, but...
Don't know about any of that. But kindness is no use on the battlefield. If anything, it's a liability.
Hey, no one's asking you to treat Shinra with kid gloves.
Aerith's up there waiting for us.
Then we better get a move on, huh?
Ready?